So if you chose WarGreymon as your starter deck, then welcome to the Dragon of Courage Budget Guide. Alrighty, starter deck Dragon of Courage, starter deck 15, Black WarGreymon, not really Black WarGreymon, but WarGreymon in black. Really cool, exciting new cards to definitely play with right here. Can't wait to check it out. Strange how they decide to go with a bigger box once again to sort of like with the Digimon starter deck. The one that they had for Ragnar Lord and Jesmon were smaller, which I kind of liked a little bit more because you know, it's a little bit more compact, a little bit more easy to hold, and less packaging material involved. But yeah, of course, as per usual, we always have a paper play mat right here with two sides, Agumon, Greymon, Metal Greymon, and then the other side with the WarGreymon, which looks really cool for sure. And yeah, that's really it as per usual. Hopefully these should really be cloth play mats to hand out during like the pre-release events, something like that. That's something I would like to do. That's something that Yu-Gi-Oh does a lot generally. But let's just get right into the brand new cards here. First, we got the Koromon. Very simple, inheritable, all turns once a turn. When an attack target is switched, it gains extra 1000 DP until the end of the turn. All turns is pretty nice. Extra DP is going to be pretty good. Wonder if this is like going to be the new black Koromon egg that you'll be mainly running, which is like the best one. And then we have the new black Agumon, which I'm very excited for because I always wanted to like make a very strong, viable black base like Greymon type of tribal deck, Black War Grey or War Grey. So a new Agumon right here is just really good. Digivolving for 0 on top of Koromon. Keep in mind, guys, there's also the new brand new design of the cards when it comes to like the layout now, which is fantastic. Really cool stuff. Starting the main phase. If your opponent has a Digimon, you simply just gain a memory. So you push out a Raising, gain a memory, and you can go and pop off with some combos, which is always nice. It has the all turns once per turn. When an attack target is switched, you get to gain a memory here. Gaining memory is always fantastic when it comes to effect to give you like, you know, more plays. Then we have Clear Agumon right here, which pretty much looks like Toy Agumon, but in a different color. And pretty interesting. It just has Reboot, which we kind of already have when it came with the Toy Agumon, which looks identical. So I'm just kind of a little bit not too sure. But I guess it is a starter deck after all. So having some kind of inheritable like that Reboot is always great for black for sure. And then we have a Solarmon. On play, review the top card of your deck. If it's black, you get to add it to your hand, and then you trash the rest. So if it's not a black card, you don't get to add it, essentially. Kind of nice. It's kind of like an on-play draw one type of thing, but there is a condition that you have to kind of meet. Pretty neat. I mean, this is a pretty good rookie to have for sure. And then speaking of Toy Agumon, we actually do have a Toy Agumon right here. And this one's the dedicated like level 3 blocker of the deck. If it does attack a player, you do lose 2 memory. Interesting. I can't remember now. It's going to be quite a while. But I remember the original blockers, if they just simply attack, you have to pay 2 memory straight up. And this one's a 4 cost, 4k blocker. Pretty strong. And then we also have Mechanorimon, 2 costs, giving a reboot for inheritable. Kind of neat too. Tankmon with jamming, 2 cost here. It's a cyborg. Maybe it could be helpful for Machinedramon deck. Who knows? Might be some cool thing that you can actually build into. Maybe for Mechanorimon too. It is a machine after all. Now moving into some of our textured stuff right here. SR Greymon. Really cool. Digivolving for 2 on top of an Agumon. Otherwise you digivolve for 2 on top of a black level 3. It has a security effect. It lets you play an Agumon or a Tamer card with Taikimi in its name from your hand or trash for free. Pretty neat. That's a lot of value if you ever do see it. It has blocker itself, and it has the inheritable, very similar to the Agumon. Essentially the same, actually. You just gain a memory whenever a attack target is switched all turns too. Really cool card. Then we have Nightmon here, deleting one of your opponent's Digimon with play cost with 5 or less, with an on-play effect. Maybe Lord Nightmon support? Who knows? That would be really cool. I do want to see Lord Nightmon make a comeback, though. That would be nice. Then we have Andromon. When digivolving, digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. And then simple, it has reboot for its inheritable. And then we have a brand new Metal Greymon right here. Very simple. Kind of power crept the BT2 or 3 one, the other black one. with its inheritable, simply just gets security +1. That one you have to have reboot to get security +1. This one just straight up gives security +1. Digivolving for 3. Otherwise, you can also Digivolve on top of any Greymon with its alternative Digivolution condition. Itself is a blocker. It is black at the end of the day, so that's really what it's all about. You know, having black blockers is what this deck is. And then, of course, we have the WarGreymon Ace right here, which surprisingly we did get early as a box topper from BT13, which is kind of nice. So we gotta, you know, get a feel for it, gotta play with it a little bit. We gotta play some ace cards. Now we get to hand trap people. And yeah, I wonder if the texture is a little bit different or is it the same? It'll be nice if it's like different. So then, you know, there's some pretty nice texture on this one. Again, I don't remember the one that I currently have from BT13, but really cool stuff. This does a whole lot of things in your hand when it comes to like countering and all that, which we'll explain later in the combo segment after building the deck and such. Now we have High Andromon. High Andromon is blocker. It has when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 8 or less as well. Really, really good removal effect right here for 4 cost, and you get 4 of them. Now we got a brand new Taikamiya. Now, I guess this is like the first time we get a memory tamer inside the deck itself. I know, I mean, for Ragnar Lord and Jesmon, you kind of get like Izzy as a memory tamer, but this is like the dedicated memory tamer of a starter deck now. Taikamiya, setting you to 3. All turns when attack target is switched, you get to spend this tamer to draw a card, and that Digimon gets extra 2000 DP. We have Breakthrough of Courage. Honestly, I'm personally not a huge fan of these kind of artworks when it comes to like the snapshots of the anime scene. Why you have a tamer with Titan's name, you get to use this without meeting color requirements, and suspend one of your Digimon, then one of your Digimon with Greymon's name isn't affected by the effects of your opponent's Digimon until the end of the opponent's turn. So giving you like a 1 turn protection for 4 cost, that's quite a lot, I guess. I'm not too sure about that. Main D Digivolve 3 with Trident Arm here. Probably one of a really good black staple-ish removal moving forward. And then until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gains started main phase this Digimon attacks. It's almost like a cheaper Ultimate Flare. You don't remove 3 play costs afterwards, but forcing someone to attack is really good in synergizing with this deck and combos and such, because then you can block and do all the crazy things. And then security, D Digivolves 3 as well, straight up. Digivolve 3 is a lot. And then we have the memory counters right here with the good old starter deck, like sort of instructions and how to play. If you're new, you know, definitely give it a quick read as well. But, you know, very nice memory gauge counters right here as per usual with Agumon and WarGreymon. So we got something extra as well. If you participate in like your pre-release for the starter decks, you get these pre-release packs. So we got 2 right here of the Dragon Courage. It's essentially like if you guys open the Digimon deck, you would know that this is like foil upgrade versions of existing cards inside the deck, which we saw earlier. So we got High Andromon here pre-release, and we also got a Solarmon here pre-release, which is kind of neat, kind of sick. I wish they kind of had the unique stamp for, you know, Dragon of Courage instead, kind of like Buzamon, rather than the typical pre-release stamp that we see for most other sets. But now for the other one right here, looks like we got a Mechanorimon and a Nightmon, which looks kind of sick as well. Really, really nice. So now that we opened up the first deck, we're going to open up the second one very quickly, and let's just jump straight into the deck profile to showcase you guys what the budget build looks like for this particular deck. So just in case you didn't know, I'll be working on a full power version that utilizes all the other cards from the outside card pool to amplify this deck to its maximum potential as well. So if you guys want to see that and just excited, be sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell right now to stay tuned. If you just can't wait, and if you guys want to see it even earlier, then be sure to join the AVAULT Club, because that is exactly where I post all the first draft deck lists for everything that I work on before the videos, and you can even stay tuned for updated deck profiles and deck lists as well. So definitely be sure to join, and I really appreciate the support. Okay, starting with the Digi-Egg cards, 4 copies of the Koromon, which is the only egg we can really play in the deck anyways, but having that extra 1000 DP, all turns potentially, is really nice, because we do have a lot of disruption effects when it comes to this deck. For the rookies, 4 copies of Agumon, which is dedicated for this deck essentially, helping you gain memory through various methods with its own effect, and it's inherited is always nice to have for sure, especially when it comes to comboing with our disruptive plays that we're always trying to do. Next, 4 copies of Solarmon. This Solarmon really is just like your on-play drawer to help you sort of like cycle through cards, get some cards, really good early game card to play to help you find pieces, potentially search as well at the same time. Don't really utilize this trashing effect as much, however, that's just really the value when it comes when you on play this card directly. Then there's 3 copies of Clear Agumon, very simple, reboot, mainly the one that we're going to be digivolving and sort of building our stack, so then we can have that specific effect. Then, to last but not least, to round up for all the rookies, 3 copies of Toy Agumon, which is the dedicated blocker of the deck. We really want to attack with it because we do have to pay 2 memory if we attack a player specifically, but if we attack a Digimon, we don't really need to, which is kind of interesting, but 3 copies is definitely the least. Let's now talk about our level 4s. 4 copies of the Greymon. Potentially helps you play an Agumon, helps you play a tie for free. It has blocker itself, which is kind of nice in the early stages of the game to stop any chipping. And then otherwise, its inheritable is mainly to be there to help you gain memory whenever a attack target is switched. Continuing on with the rest of the level 4s, 4 copies of Mechanori, reboot inheritable, very simple, 2 cost to digivolve. That's basically it. And then to round off for all the level 4s, 3 copies of Tankmon, jamming, great for early game swings, great for early game attacks every now and then as well. So that's really what we're going to be utilizing off with our level 4s. Level 5s, 4 copies of Metal Greymon. Mainly, I love it because of its inheritable security +1 with no conditions that needs to be met. Really great for the deck for sure. Itself has blocker as well. That's really what it's mainly for. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, inheritable is for, aggressive plays and for helping to deal more damage and win games faster. That's basically it. Andromon as our secondary level 5, a bit more control for it, so that we can de-digivolve 1, giving reboot. We're going to see a lot of reboot inheritables stacked in this deck in particular, which is always going to be really nice because reboot blocker, that's redirecting attacks, that's really what black does best. And then to round off for all the level 5s, 2 copies of Nightmon, just so it can be on played, deleting our opponent's Digimon. That is 5 costs or less. Really going to be hard playing it for paying too much memory, but it's always a good situation when you hard play this card if you have a memory tamer and your opponent does as well, fitting that perfect memory of 6. So yeah, that's basically it for level 5s. Then for our level 6s, our boss Digimon of the deck, 4 copies of the WarGreymon Ace right here. Very interesting with its 6 play cost. You really want to be hard playing that, but maybe sometimes if you're playing this budget build, which you do have that kind of option if you ever want to do so. Now, it can digivolve for 3 costs on top of a black level 5. Otherwise, it can digivolve for 3 costs on top of any Greymon in its name. That's level 5 as well. Now, very interesting new mechanic that some of you guys don't know is the hand counter Ace mechanic overall with last digivolve. Now, this kind of effect is applicable during the moment when your opponent makes an attack, and you want to have this counter phase that happens before the block phase. So what happens is you're going to blast digivolve for free essentially during your opponent's turn, and immediately on top of your level 5 you have this WarGreymon Ace that can potentially be a blocker and stop the attack immediately right after to surprise your opponents. It also has a secondary effect of all turns once per turn. When a card is removed from the security, you unsuspend this Digimon, so great for defensive and offensive applications if you ever need to, so you can make aggressive attacks when you're on the offense side. Otherwise, potentially you can even block more than once with this particular card, which is why it makes it really good. And last but not least, with its new mechanic of Ace Overflow, with such a good and powerful card, definitely comes with its own weaknesses and stipulation. Overflow -4, meaning that if this card leaves the battle area in any way, bottom deck, return to hand, sent to trash, and leaving the battle area essentially, you immediately lose 4 memory because of that. So definitely a trade-off, but it is your boss Digimon of the deck with this whole new mechanic. Very crucial. That's your main win condition, main guy that you're trying to get into. Secondary boss level 6, 3 copies of Higher Andromon. Really great for blocker, 4 costs for 12k DP, which is kind of neat. And then when digivolving, it deletes an opponent's Digimon with play cost 8 or less, basically removing anything that's like level 5 or lower from this case, which is always fantastic. So yeah, you do have to see a secondary one no matter what. Otherwise, as we go in and continue with our tamers, 3 copies of the dedicated tie of this deck. Memory Tamer, really crucial. Otherwise, its secondary effect of potentially helping you to draw, gain extra 2000 DP is always very nice to have whenever you switch an attack target. That's when you block essentially. And having multiple of these is really good because you can stack its secondary effect multiple times, and being able to do so, you can beef up your blockers, play defensive, really great. Then let's move into options. 3 copies of Trident Arm right here. Like I mentioned in the opening, I think this is one of the best removal tools that they can really have. I mean, it's the only removal tool anyways. De-digivolving is great. That's what black does best. That's mainly what it's really used there for. And then last but not least, 2 copies of the Breakthrough of Courage. Really, it's just another like tech option that you can kind of include. Kind of nice to give you like the protection if you ever really need to do so. And with its 4 cost, it does let you unsuspend your Digimon, so it does have a bit of like defense and offensive applications as well because of that. Alright, so for the combos with this WarGreymon deck, it is a starter deck build after all, so there's really not too much to look for when you're trying to mulligan for your hand. It's very, very simple. You just want to see your level 3s, potentially your level 4s, and then your level 5s, and then your 6s. Any way that you can just sort of climb through your stack, that's anything that can digivolve through into it, that's really all you're trying to get there and try to find in your opening hand. So of course, hatch your egg especially, and let's just go for the main iconic pro tag sort of play. You digivolve into Agumon right here. You know, potentially if your opponent has a Digimon, you can always just push it up in your starter main, and then you get to gain 1 afterwards, and then you can digivolve into Greymon here. Greymon, it's a blocker itself, so always fantastic. And then eventually you digivolve into Metal Greymon, and itself also has blocker. And then you would sometimes sit here. You know, if your opponent tries to overwhelm you with a higher DP Digimon, that's when you pass your turn and wait and sit as a level 5, because this is how you play the Ace counter card. And when they attack, you blast Digivolve for free, and then you can immediately block with this guy. And every time when you sort of change the attack target, you get to gain a memory here with Greymon and Agumon, and gain extra 1k with Koromon, which is fantastic. Which is why having the tie is going to help even more, because having a tie, you can also then suspend it to draw 1 and give it even more DP. And if you ever lose a security in the process, then you get to unsuspend this guy. So it's a very disruptive stack right here, which is always fantastic. But there's actually some more cooler ways to potentially play this stack other than just by digivolving into the traditional Greymon, because some other cards that you might potentially have in Digivolve would be your Clear Agumon. Reboot is fantastic because what you can do, if you have enough memory at the start of your turn, you can push it up and then potentially digivolve into this Tankmon while retaining your turn. And it's very simple because you immediately then swing with Tankmon jamming 6k into security, although DP doesn't really matter in this case because of jamming. If it doesn't get deleted by any options or any security effects, then you afterwards, you somehow pass your turn, you get to reboot this guy because of Clear Agumon, and just really good offensive strategy right there. Sometimes you then might even get to digivolve into Metal Greymon before you pass your turn. By digivolving to Metal Greymon, you still get the reboot, and you have a blocker sitting right there ready to disrupt your opponent's turn, and then repeating the same. If they ever try to attack you, if you're ever in threat, you can go into WarGreymon just like that. Now, sometimes if you ever start your turn, they try to play around your ace cards and you start back at your 3 memory, you can just go aggressive. Digivolve into WarGreymon Ace for 3 costs. While you have your tie, retaining your turn, swing into security with WarGreymon right here, 2 checks. Its DP is going to be a little bit lower. It is 11, so it can be risky at times, but you can go for that aggressive playstyle, and if it goes for it, because the security is moved, you get to unsuspend this guy, and then swing again for another 2 checks at 11 right there, which is really, really neat, really powerful, really cool offensive strategies that you can actually apply, and is going to be really good for this deck. Now, as for the alternative, sometimes you can actually say, in this case, you digivolve into Greymon right here. And then eventually, let's talk about the Andromon line. By digivolving for 3 costs, you get to de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon right there. Afterwards, that's when you sometimes want to go into your High Andromon. By going to High Andromon, since you de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, when digivolving, it gets to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8 costs or less. So that's a really effective removal of getting a big stack, big body immediately right off the bat, just by getting into this guy. And it also has blocker with reboot as well with Andromon, which is always a fantastic combo. Therefore, the Clear Agumon may not be necessary, because then you might have the Agumon instead, and it has a blocker. You're actually even stronger blocker than WarGreymon because of his DP. So if your opponent attacks you, if you ever do block, you get to gain a memory here, gain DP here, and you get to suspend tie potentially to draw 1 card and gain 2,000 DP, 1,000 DP with Koromon, so gaining 3,000, making High Andromon 15k blocker just like that. So if you guys want to see more advanced combos and want to see the advanced deck profile, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for it as we get the full power version of the black base WarGreymon deck with mostly these cards utilized to make it fully optimal and powerful. Now, if you guys are also interested in the WarGreymon Starter Deck Wolf of Friendship, then be sure to check out all those videos and guides right here as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video. And this is Vault, signing